I'm Russ, and welcome to Simply Wooden Creations. Today on How Russ Does It, I'm going to show you how I attach a pattern to wood and remove it. You know, back when I first started, there were no home computers or printers. I would draw or trace directly onto the wood. For letters and numbers, sometimes I would even use stencils. We've come a long way with the use of home computers and printers, and they can aid the average scroller into making some really nice patterns. You know, there's several ways to attach your pattern to wood, and I've tried almost all of them. Putting on blue painter's tape before attaching the pattern, I found it to be a waste of money and still left residue. Labels, I found them hard to remove. They still left residue, and sometimes when removing, it would break the fragile pieces. Contact paper, while not as hard to remove, it still left residue, and I still didn't like it. I think I used the most simple, easiest, and economical way. The products we're going to be using today are 3M spray glue. I used general purpose 45. Printer paper. I found the cheapest and the thinnest to be the best. Mineral spirits. You can buy it by the quart. It's cheaper by the gallon. And a small foam brush. You know, some people add clear packing tape to the top of the pattern to help lubricate the blade when cutting thick hardwoods. Does it work? I'll be honest, I couldn't tell a difference. It didn't help maintain blade sharpness, it didn't make the blade last any longer, and it didn't prevent burning. I don't use it anymore because it made it hard for me to see the pattern. Sawdust would get in between the clear tape and the pattern. Sometimes the tape would pull off the pattern in areas, and when I tried to remove it, it would break delicate pieces. Now let's talk about cost. 3M spray adhesive, I find it for $5 a can. One can will usually do about 100 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper. Mineral spirits or paint thinner, $6 per quart or $12 per gallon. 1 quart of mineral spirits will remove about 200 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper. Printer paper by the ream, 500 sheets, anywhere between $3 to $5 if you catch it on sale. So $10 for a couple of cans of spray adhesive, $6 for a quart of mineral spirits, $3 for a ream of paper, plus tax, you're looking at around $20. And that will do about 200 to 250 sheets of paper at about 10 cents per sheet. For safety, and for those of you who might be sensitive to mineral spirits, you might want to use gloves. You can find 100 disposable nitrile gloves for around $6 to $8, or PVC coated knit gloves for around $4. Also, when you're using the spray adhesive or mineral spirits, you want to use it in a well-ventilated area or go outside. Now, let's get to applying the pattern. Always sand and clean your wood before applying the pattern. This will aid in pattern adhesion, and you won't have as much sanding to do once the pattern is removed. I'm using an old easel that I recycled years ago. I simply have placed a piece of wax paper over the front to collect the glue residue. Take your pattern, place it face down. Make sure that the arrow on top of the spray tip is pointed toward the black dot on the can rim, and shake the can very well. Now, you simply want to apply the glue. Once the glue is applied, you want to immediately put it on the wood. Don't wait. Immediately apply the pattern to your piece of wood for the project. Once it's applied, you can simply rub it with your hands. Take a small squeegee and just make sure the pattern is well adhered to your wood. Now, let's drill some holes and get this pattern cut out. Just as a note, this is 3/4 inch pine. I'm using a Flying Dutchman number 3 scroll reverse blade, and my tension is set high. After we have it cut, now we're ready to remove the pattern. I use a small glass wide mouth jar with a lid to store my mineral spirits. We take our foam brush. Do not submerge it all the way to the bottom of the mineral spirits. We only need to moisten about the tip about 3/4 to a 1/2 inch. You take it out, you can shake it. Now we want to apply our mineral spirits to our pattern. Apply it gently all the way around, making sure the pattern is good and wet. Let it sit for a few seconds. And we should be able to gently remove the pattern. Now, with one of your rags, I just take it and moisten the end of it and go over my pattern gently to remove any residue that is left. Just wipe it real good to make sure all your residue is off. With a clean dry rag, I wipe off any excess. And now, this is ready to set out to dry. Drying time depends on a lot of things. Humidity, air temperature. Now I've got a couple of other things to show you. These are a couple of pieces of paper that I've attached to wood. This one was in my recycling bin. I try to save some of the larger pieces for other projects in the future. This has been in there for probably about 3 to 4 weeks. This piece of paper I applied to the wood this morning. Once again, all we do is dip the tip of our brush and shake it off a little bit if you have too much, and apply it to the pattern. Let it sit for a second without too much trouble. We should be able to peel our pattern right off. Now this one was a little harder, but like I said, it's been sitting in the recycle bin glued to this piece of wood for probably about 3 to 4 weeks. Once again, we'll dip our rag into a little bit of mineral spirits, clean off any residue with a dry rag, remove any excess, and place it to the side to dry. Now this one was put on this morning. Same thing. Dip our brush, remove any excess, gently apply the mineral spirits to the pattern. Need a little bit more. Dip it gently back in. You don't need a lot. Probably 1 teaspoon of mineral spirits is all is required to remove even a large pattern. Let it sit for a few seconds. And we should be very easy to remove the pattern. Wet the tip of your rag, remove any excess residue, dry it off, and place it to the side to dry. Then you'll be ready to finish. One thing I wanted to point out about using this method is, if you will notice, there is very little mess that is created by using the mineral spirits. Almost no mineral spirits was dripped on the table. The only excess was right on the lid where I placed my brush. If you'll just use the tip of your brush and gently remove any of the excess when you're applying it to your pattern, you will have little to no mess to clean up after your finish. I tried using a spray bottle, as some others have suggested, but I found this method to be way too messy, and I used a lot more mineral spirits than I would by using my method. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like me on Facebook. Simply Wooden Creations. Thank you, and may God bless.